Hey there, history buffs! Today, we're going to delve into the mystery of the curse of the Pharaohs and find out why even you would be luckier than some of those ancient rulers. The grand pyramids of Egypt, the impressive structures that served as tombs for the great pharaohs of old. It took a whopping 20 years to construct these massive edifices, with countless lives lost in the process. Fast forward to 1922, when a group of plucky archaeologists stumbled upon the entrance to one of these tombs. As they eagerly began to dig, one couldn't help but wonder what kind of treasures lay within. But hold on a minute. What's this? Lucky for our brave explorers, the inhabitants of the tomb were already dead, or else there might have been a bit of a tussle. Imagine the chaos that would have ensued if they had encountered a living pharaoh still intent on guarding his riches from beyond the grave. It certainly would have made for an exciting day of digging. The curse of the pharaohs. One of the juiciest stories of all time. Supposedly, anyone who comes into contact with the tombs of the ancient Egyptian rulers and mummies is doomed to a fate worse than death. And let's be honest, death isn't exactly a walk in the park either. The curse really hit its stride with the excavation of Tutankhamun's tomb. This guy was only 19 when he died, and let's just say he wasn't exactly a Greek god, with a congenital clubfoot, a deformed head, and teeth that would make a dentist weep. He looked like he was designed by committee. But in reality, his parents were just a little too fond of each other, if you know what I mean. Yes, I'm talking about the ancient Egyptian practice of siblings marrying siblings, which was about as common as sand in the desert. Talk about genetic roulette. The mystery of Tutankhamun's death is one for the ages. Was he murdered, or did he succumb to some illness? At first, they found a hole in his skull, suggesting foul play. Then they said the head was damaged after his death. Oops, Butterfingers. Finally, they discovered he died from malaria. But hey, who's counting? But let's face it, the real mystery is the curse. Is it real, or just a bunch of hocus pocus? Let's put on our Indiana Jones hats and find out. And who better to explore this topic than yours? So let's settle in and explore the fascinating world of the pharaohs together. Well, what if all these theories are correct? They opened the tomb, found the pharaoh, started taking selfies, and after a while they began to drop dead. The newspapers immediately made a fuss. The world is collapsing. The curse of the pharaoh is near. Run, fools, you'll all die here. The fuss grew with time and new details emerged. Someone talked about inscriptions at the entrance to the tomb that didn't actually exist. Power outages throughout the city at the moment of the opening, and, of course, any death was attributed to it. There are 3 versions explaining this phenomenon: magical, pseudo-scientific, and rational. The first one involves witchcraft, spells, and all that stuff, and anyone who disturbs the pharaohs will suffer excruciatingly. Their relatives will die, and even after thousands of years, your family will pay for such a silly act. The second version isn't very interesting. Poisons that were put in the sarcophagus during the burial, and a fungus that lives in mobile phones. It's simple. They opened it, got poisoned, and died. Now, the third version, you won't like this one. Actually, people broke into the pharaoh's resting place. And yes, they took his body and studied it in every possible way, and yes, they died. But not immediately, as the newspapers of that time wrote, but after about 20 years. Does the curse work that long? Maybe, maybe not. But these people were 70 and 80 years old. I think they didn't really care what would kill them. By the way, let's talk about pyramids. We're all used to thinking that they're the work of some higher powers. I mean, come on, look at that massive scale. Slaves couldn't have built something like that. Heck, I couldn't even build something like that today. But seriously, let's stop blaming the ancient Egyptians for being clumsy. It's just that we all want to believe that there's something extraordinary here. However, let's look at the facts. For a long time, the world has known that pyramids were built not by slaves, but by free people in honor of their pharaohs. Pyramids without polish look like sloppy crap because people just took stones and threw them on a pile of other stones. Then they dragged those huge stones over from nearby quarries of basalt and rubbed them like there was no tomorrow. And how could I forget the cave paintings of aliens from that time? Hey, I never said they weren't involved. They were probably just watching and giving pointers because the pyramids all over the world are perfectly aligned with each other. That's like the one thing we can cling to. Or is it? I want to believe, but it's a tough sell. Anyway, that's all for now.